The rain had been falling for 3 days. But inside the enormous Blackwood mansion, the silence was even heavier than the storm outside. 8-year-old Ethan Blackwood sat alone beside the window, staring at the garden. He had not spoken a single word all morning. His wheelchair stood beside the sofa. His breakfast sat untouched on the table. And his father, Daniel Blackwood, had already received 3 phone calls from the doctor. "Mr. Blackwood," the doctor said carefully, "Ethan's condition is getting worse." Daniel closed his eyes. How much worse? He's refusing food again. He's losing strength. And emotionally, he seems to be shutting down. Daniel looked through the glass doors toward his son. For years, he had spent millions on doctors, therapists, private hospitals and specialists. Nothing had worked. Then, 6 months earlier, a young maid named Anna had entered their home. And somehow, Ethan had begun to smile. Ethan had been born into wealth. His father owned hotels, technology companies and luxury properties across the country. He had everything money could buy. Everything except a happy childhood. When Ethan was 4, an accident changed his life. He lost the ability to walk normally and required constant care. After that day, Ethan became quieter. He stopped playing with other children. He stopped talking to his father. And eventually, he stopped smiling. Daniel blamed himself. He worked even harder, believing that money could somehow repair what had been broken. But money couldn't make his son laugh. Then Anna arrived. She was 26, quiet, hardworking and compassionate. On her first day, the head housekeeper warned her, "Stay away from Ethan unless Mr. Blackwood gives you permission." Anna nodded. But that afternoon, she saw Ethan sitting alone in the garden. His wheelchair was stuck near a flower bed. A book had fallen onto the ground. Anna walked over. "Would you like me to get that for you?" Ethan didn't answer. Anna picked up the book and handed it to him. Then she noticed something. The book was about space. "You like stars?" Ethan looked at her for the first time. He slowly nodded. Anna smiled. "Me too." That was all. She didn't ask him why he couldn't walk. She didn't stare at his wheelchair. She didn't treat him like he was broken. She simply sat beside him. And for the first time in months, Ethan smiled. Days turned into weeks. Anna started helping Ethan with small things. She read books with him. She pushed his wheelchair into the garden. She helped him paint. She even created little paper rockets and placed them around his room. Ethan began talking again. At first, only a few words. Then sentences. Then entire stories. One morning, Anna found Ethan trying to feed himself. His hands were shaking. "I can help you," she said. Ethan shook his head. "No." Anna smiled. "Okay. Then I'll just sit here." She sat beside him. She didn't touch the spoon. She didn't rush him. After several minutes, Ethan finally lifted the spoon himself. "I did it," he whispered. Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, you did." That evening, something happened that hadn't happened in years. Ethan ate his entire dinner. Daniel heard about it from the housekeeper. "Who helped him?" "Anna." Daniel looked surprised. "Anna?" "Yes, sir." Daniel walked toward Ethan's room. He stopped outside the door. He heard laughter. His son was laughing. Daniel stood there silently. He hadn't heard that sound in years. Anna began encouraging Ethan to participate in his physical therapy. She never promised him he would walk again. She only told him, "Let's see what your body can do today." Some days, Ethan couldn't move his legs. Some days, he became frustrated and cried. And whenever he wanted to quit, Anna would say, "Rest if you need to. Cry if you need to. But don't decide that your story is over." Those words stayed with Ethan. Slowly, something changed. His muscles became stronger. His confidence returned. One morning during therapy, Ethan managed to stand for 3 seconds with support. 3 seconds. To anyone else, it was nothing. To Ethan, it was a miracle. "Anna!" he shouted. She ran into the room. Ethan was standing. His therapist stared in disbelief. Anna covered her mouth. "Ethan, I did it." She hugged him carefully. And for the first time, Daniel saw hope in his son's eyes. But he didn't know that hope would soon be taken away. Daniel was a busy man. He was rarely home. He trusted reports from his staff more than he trusted what he saw himself. One afternoon, Daniel returned from a business trip. His son was tired after therapy. Anna was helping him eat. Daniel walked into the room. "Why isn't he resting?" Anna stood. He had a difficult therapy session today. He's exhausted. Daniel looked at his son. Ethan whispered, "I'm okay, Dad." Daniel nodded. But then one of the household employees approached him privately. "Sir, I don't think Anna is doing a good job." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean? She lets Ethan do things himself. Sometimes she leaves him alone for several minutes. And yesterday, he fell asleep during therapy." Daniel's expression hardened. "Are you saying she is neglecting my son?" "I believe so, sir." The employee wasn't telling the whole truth. She was jealous of the bond between Anna and Ethan. But Daniel didn't know that. And anger made him careless. The next morning, Daniel called Anna into his office. "You're fired." Anna froze. "Sir, my son needs professional care. You are not qualified." "But, no excuses." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Please, Mr. Blackwood, Ethan is improving." Daniel slammed his hand on the desk. "And yet you allowed him to become exhausted and vulnerable." Anna lowered her head. "I would never hurt Ethan." "Leave." She quietly removed her apron. Before walking out, she went to Ethan's room. He was asleep. Anna kissed his forehead. "Goodbye, little star." She whispered the words through tears. Then she left. When Ethan woke up, he immediately asked, "Where's Anna?" Daniel hesitated. "She won't be working here anymore." Ethan stared at him. "Why?" "Because she wasn't taking proper care of you." Ethan shook his head. "No, Ethan, no." It was the loudest his son had spoken in months. Daniel was shocked. Ethan turned his wheelchair toward the door. "Bring Anna back. She can't come back." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand." Daniel tried to calm him. But Ethan refused breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. The next morning, he refused medicine. The doctors became worried. Within days, Ethan became weaker. The progress he had made over months began disappearing. His therapist looked at Daniel and said, "Mr. Blackwood, this isn't just physical." "What do you mean?" "Your son's body is reacting to emotional trauma." Daniel felt his heart sink. That night, he entered Ethan's room. His son was lying under the blanket. "Ethan." No answer. "I'm sorry." Silence. Daniel sat beside him. "I can buy you anything you want." Ethan finally opened his eyes. "I don't want anything." "What do you want?" "I want Anna." Daniel couldn't speak. Daniel began investigating what had happened. He checked security cameras. He reviewed staff reports. He spoke to Ethan's therapist. And then he discovered something shocking. The employee who had accused Anna had lied. The cameras showed Anna helping Ethan with therapy every day. She never abandoned him. She never neglected him. In fact, she had stayed late many times without being paid. Daniel watched one recording. It showed Ethan struggling to stand. Anna was beside him. "Try again," she said. "I can't." "Yes, you can. My legs hurt." "Then we'll try tomorrow." Ethan began crying. Anna wiped his tears. "Being strong doesn't mean you never cry, Ethan. It means you don't give up because you're scared." Daniel stopped the video. He covered his face with his hands. For the first time, he realized something terrible. He hadn't protected his son. He had taken away the one person who made his son feel safe. Daniel immediately drove to Anna's apartment. It was a small building on the other side of the city. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Finally, an elderly neighbor opened her door. "Are you looking for Anna?" "Yes." "Where is she?" "She left this morning." "Where?" The woman handed him a small envelope. "She told me to give this to you if you ever came." Daniel opened it. Inside was a photograph of Ethan smiling in the garden. Behind the photograph, Anna had written, "Some children don't need someone to fix them. They need someone to believe in them." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. At the bottom was an address. Daniel found Anna at a small rehabilitation center. She was volunteering there. When she saw him, she looked surprised. "Mr. Blackwood." Daniel lowered his head. "I was wrong." Anna said nothing. "I fired you because I believed someone else's lies." Still nothing. "My son stopped eating after you left." Anna's face changed. "How is Ethan?" "He's getting weaker." She looked away. "I can't go back. Please." "I was humiliated." "I know. You didn't even let me explain." "I know." Daniel's voice broke. "I was so focused on protecting my son that I forgot to listen to him." Anna remained silent. Then Daniel said the words he had never said to anyone. "I'm sorry." Anna looked at him. Not because he was a billionaire. Not because she needed his job. but because she could see that he was genuinely broken. "Take me to Ethan," she whispered. When Anna entered Ethan's room, the boy was barely awake. "Ethan." His eyes opened. For a moment, he didn't believe what he was seeing. "Anna." She smiled. "Hi, little star." Ethan began crying. Anna knelt beside him. He reached for her. She hugged him. "I thought you left me." "I didn't leave you. Dad said you were bad." Anna looked at Daniel. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I was wrong," he said. Ethan looked at his father. "Are you bringing her back?" Daniel nodded. "If she wants to come back." Ethan looked at Anna. "Please." Anna smiled through tears. "I'll stay." That evening, Ethan ate. Not much. Just a few bites. But it was enough. The next morning, he ate breakfast. 3 days later, he participated in therapy. A week later, he stood again. This time for 10 seconds. Everyone in the room cried. Daniel watched his son standing with support. He finally understood that the greatest thing he could give his child wasn't money. It was love. Months passed. Ethan continued therapy. He became stronger. He still needed his wheelchair. He still had difficult days. But he no longer believed that his disability defined him. Anna became more than a caregiver. She became family. Daniel changed too. He began coming home early. He started eating dinner with his son. He listened. He learned. And eventually, he made Anna an offer. Not as a maid, not as an employee, but as the director of a foundation he created for children with disabilities. The foundation provided therapy, education and emotional support to families who couldn't afford it. Daniel named it the Little Star Foundation. At the opening ceremony, Ethan stood beside his father and Anna. Daniel looked at the crowd. "I once believed that money could solve every problem." He paused. "I was wrong." He looked at Anna. "Sometimes the person who changes a child's life isn't the person with the most money. It's the person who refuses to give up on them." The crowd applauded. Ethan smiled. Then he reached for Anna's hand. "Can we go see the stars tonight?" Anna laughed. "Of course." Daniel looked at his son. For the first time in years, his family felt complete. And as they walked outside, Ethan looked toward the night sky. He pointed upward. "Look, Anna." "What?" "That one. The brightest one." Ethan smiled. "That's my star." Anna's eyes filled with tears. And Daniel finally understood why his son had called her that from the beginning. She had never fixed Ethan. She had simply reminded him that he was never broken.